Eyes up, watch out.
Welcome back to Afternoon Express. We're live on SABC 3 on this Wednesday afternoon. Cast your minds back to that time where the friend gives you the phone call to tell you they've got the biggest scheme or opportunity for you to make the most amount of money in the shortest space of time. And we often come across investment opportunities like that promise high returns in a short space of time. Although some may seem legitimate, there are those that simply are an easy way for criminals to con people into parting with their hard-earned cash. How do you tell if you're being sold on a good investment or if it's just a get-rich-quick scheme? Well, our guest today is Kilyani Pillay, CEO of the South African Banking Risk Information Centre, or SABRIC as they're commonly known, and she's here to help us to know the difference. Welcome to The Loft.
Thank you, Dan.
You've shared wisdom with multiple platforms along this. You work alongside all the biggest banks to try and make this a safe space for consumers to engage in. So give us a brief understanding of where SABRIC came from and the work that you guys do.
Well, we're 15 years old this month, and we were established by the 4 major banks in South Africa. We're actually a part of the banks. We don't just work alongside them. So basically owned by the 4 majors, but have 19 South African licensed banks that are part of the organization. And our key mandate is to assist banks fight organized crime. Okay. So we deal with end-to-end risk mitigation and, of course, support of prosecution and investigation to the police and the NPA as well.
Right. One of those happens to be these get-rich-quick schemes. I receive SMSs on the daily telling me how I can win money fast. I get emails, I get adverts, I get phone calls from friends and family who have found the most perfect scheme possible. Tell us about how people are getting sucked into these and how do we define what is really a good investment and what really is just a scheme?
Well, I think importantly what we're finding in South Africa is that there are 2 kinds of schemes or schemes that are actually scams that are running from time to time. And these are your Ponzi schemes and your pyramid schemes. Mm-hmm. So I think the key thing that people need to look out for is that everybody wants to make money and everybody wants to make money quickly. Mm-hmm. It's just not possible. And I think that's really very important for people to know. If it sounds too good to be true, obviously it is definitely not. Okay. It is not true. So what we're finding with the Ponzi scheme is that there would always be the offer of a quick return, of very high returns, of guaranteed returns, and that already should start sounding warning bells because there's no investment that is risk-free. There's always some bit of risk in it. They also would say to you that it's a lifetime opportunity. You've got to do this now. It's quick, the urgency around, when you have to make a decision. And these are all things that people need to look out for. So with the Ponzi scheme, people are asked to put in these investments. You don't get much information as to how the business model or the financial model works. And of course, initially, the people get paid these high returns. And then, of course, that in itself is used against that same person to lure them into investing more monies. Okay. So we're seeing this as a pattern. With the pyramid scheme, if you're looking at it as a pyramid, it starts off where they bring on people. And of course, there's returns to the people that have joined in. But the returns are based on you bringing on more people into the scheme. So as the layer sort of widens at the bottom, the money's used or coming from those people gets paid to the people above. And the problem is that when the bottom starts drying up, when you don't get enough people, then of course it's no longer this pyramid and the whole thing just falls flat and people have lost their life savings. Yeah. And it's really a terrible thing. Yeah. So.
But there are some good investments that we should look into Absolutely. To save money. So, what are the defining things you should ask? Like the main questions we should ask when we get a request.
Well, I think very importantly, and because time is always an issue, I think people need to be sure that the person they're dealing with is a registered financial service provider. Contact the Financial Services Board. Make inquiries about the particular person. Many of the authentic investment schemes are registered as well. So make those inquiries, especially because you're going to be putting in significant amounts of money, well, any money for that matter. So I think, just do that. If you're wanting to go into a particular scheme, run it by somebody else, get advice, but rather just take a little time, exercise some due diligence, do your homework before you actually put it in, because thousands of people have lost really huge amounts of money.
Sure, I'm learning a lot because those deals come and they always look very attractive and we're always desperate to make more money, and so it's really good tips and advice that you're giving us today. So thank you for coming to share your wisdom with us.
It's a pleasure, Dan.
I'm looking forward to some more conversations around this topic. So make sure you stay tuned to Afternoon Express. We're going to keep unpacking these financial services. And if you want any more tips and tricks, go to the SABRIC website and their Facebook page.